Oh my God, it's happening! It's coming! I think I'm dying! Feel scared and excited!
Blood alone moves the wheels of history.
Hey guys, good evening. Well, thank you for joining me. 38-year-old white guy that likes The Office and New Girl, and also Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If I could have found a joke, I would have put that in there too. So I'm as basic as it gets. Just this weekend, I was smoking a bunch of meat. I was making a bunch of pork with my New Balances on. I was listening to Joe Walsh. I gave up trying to be unique a long time ago, and I got to tell you, it's the best thing that I ever did. Don't try to be special. It's so much effort. Just be as basic and what's the word we're looking for? I don't know. Anyway, I've got Mrs. Owen with me here this evening. She's going to make sure I don't sound dumb. And I want to thank you guys again for joining me. I'm really nervous. I don't know if you can tell that or not, because it's my first live stream all by myself. The Despot of Antrim has had me on his channel, and J.R. Carroll had me on the other day. So I've been with other people before, but I've never had to run the whole thing just all by myself. And I'm really excited that you guys are here, because it bothers me that I make these videos sometimes, and then I put them out, and I think they're great, and then people leave comments, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I not, like, that's so good. That's such a good idea, and it would have made the video better, or even it's just a joke, which hurts my pride that I didn't think of it. But I thought we could talk about some of the content and plan it out together, and I could get some of those ideas that you guys have. And I also just want to hang out with you because, you know, at most I get 1 or 2 comments with some of you guys. I can't answer every single one of them, which is a great problem to have, but then it also loses some of this personal touch. It's so fun about making these videos. What I like about YouTube is it will log all of your comments, and I'll go back and watch this. So one, I can critique how weird I sound. And then also it'll populate the comments as they happen in real time. So even if I don't get to your comment, if I'm talking about something and you have an idea, go ahead and leave it, because I'll pick it up later and I'll incorporate them into the future videos. And then the other thing is that, you know, I make the videos because I'm having fun. Like, most of the times, if a joke is really funny, it's because I thought it was hilarious and I put it in because my wife can tell if a video is gonna be funny because I'm at my desk just giggling to myself. So if that works, if that happens, then I know it's a great joke and I put it in. So they're making me laugh, but they're also, I mean, the videos are to entertain and educate you guys. So I thought, why would I make the videos ahead of time and then put them out and then get your feedback afterward? If I could get your feedback ahead of time and put that stuff in for the videos that are made for you to watch anyway, it just, I don't know, it just seems to make a lot more sense that way. So that's my intro, and I'm just going to jump right into it. So here's my Notion. I know a lot of people, you know, Notion is like Excel. There are people that know how to do really amazing, you know, like pivot tables and crazy stuff, and I know how to make a table with 2 or 3 columns, and I can color the top heading. And that's me with Notion. I am able to make these little drop-down boxes, and that's pretty much it. I do have a calendar that my wife created. I don't even know how she did that. So this is all I do. I just make lists like this. And Notion is like this incredibly powerful tool, and I just use it for lists. So there I am. So what I want to talk about this evening is some of these ideas right here, and maybe some other ones if you guys have other or if you have other ideas about videos that I could make. I want you to drop those in there, and we can discuss some of those points. Darkbox, you got a question? Type it out, buddy. Somebody said I can make a video about vintage breakfast cereal. That's a high compliment, and I do love cereal, so I might make that. So while I'm waiting for that question to pop up, Darkbox wants to know what happened to the Foster and the writer strike video. So with the Foster videos, there is a community tab post like, thanks because we raised $400, and in the comments I did link those videos. But YouTube is really weird about like how a channel has to be presented, and foster care, adoption, any of that kind of stuff, it's so different from entertainment, movies, and TV that YouTube like doesn't know what to do with that. And they kind of build this profile about the channel and the audience Like I can go into my thing and I can tell a lot of you watch, you know, Critical Drinker, Disparu, RK, Ryan Kinnell, like various other channels that are similar to mine, and it will tell me that. So if I post stuff that's completely out of left field, YouTube doesn't know what to do. And if your channel is like too cluttered, then it won't really advertise you to a lot of people because it's not sure who to even show your stuff to. So all of that to say, I unlisted those Foster videos. If you want to watch them, you'll have to go back to the community coast. And next May, we're going to do the same fundraiser, hopefully even bigger and better. And I can tell you a lot more about my personal experience. Laser Pants was $2. Thank you so much. And as far as the writer strike video, I think I don't know. I didn't delete that. I privated that one because another thing with YouTube videos is they need to be a balance of informative, but also snappy and entertaining. And I like to put the jokes in there. And that one had great return. Like people watched a very high percentage of that one. So it was obviously engaging and entertaining, but that's because I cut too much stuff and I kept the pace too quick. And there were things that I should have said to like clarify my points and add some depth to them, and I didn't have them. And then too many comments were like, why didn't you mention this? Like, I was going to, but I thought I was watching the video before I made it, you know, permanent, and I just felt like it was dragging. Sometimes I do that when I edit. Like I've listened to my own voice too much, and at a certain point I'm like, it's too much of me in this video. So I cut too much stuff, and that's why I got rid of that one. Unfortunately, I don't feel like I made my points clearly enough, and I feel like I was being misunderstood, and I really don't like that. It's not that I disagree with anything I said in the video. It's that I didn't add enough detail, didn't make it good enough. So I'll probably get back to that. Writer strike thing at some point if it drags on some more. Maybe take another shot at kind of deepening that video out a little bit. Let's see here before I jump into this. Man, you guys are great, making me feel good. All of you showed up, and I am so excited that everybody showed up. I thought it was gonna be me and my wife and 2 people maybe. You guys really, I mean, you make me feel really good that you all showed up. I appreciate that. As far as the anime, not much. I got some. So I started off with a bad one. I got a recommendation from somebody, Jeremiah, I think it is. And he was like, you need to watch, one of the recommendations was this one on Netflix, Violet Evergarden, I think it was called. And it's like set in World War II. And it's about this girl who I think is a robot or an android of some kind, but she has like no emotion. And it was kind of slow. I watched 2 episodes of it. It dragged. I just really could not get into it. And then I think for some reason, I don't know, work got busy or I started making more videos or something, and I just never really jumped back to the anime. So I've watched that one. I've watched a few episodes of Last Airbender with my kids. That is it. I keep thinking that I'm going to jump into it. And actually, I'm going to, because I'm taking a week off pretty soon. I'm going to take a little sabbatical from YouTube and work and everything. I got to catch up on homeschool stuff. And I also got to catch up on YouTube stuff because usually, I am finishing the video that you see at 10 in the morning. I posted that at 8 o'clock the night before. Like I am not a good YouTube creator that makes my stuff and posts in a week in advance and it's just waiting to go up. I'm usually staying up late. I'm adding the final details. I'm making the thumbnail the night before, which is a terrible idea. So I need to take a week off and catch up a little bit. Good to see you guys. I'm really glad. I've seen people jump in the chat. See Spencer especially. So I'm going to catch up on some more anime on that one. If you guys do want to comment some suggestions, I don't have Crunchyroll, so it's got to be on like Amazon Prime or Netflix, or if I can catch it on YouTube or something like that. But I'm not going to get a brand new service to check this stuff out. One thing that I am going to do is I am going to review Netflix's One Piece, having never seen a single, not even a frame of the One Piece anime. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be looking for, but I'm going to review that show anyway. And I think it might be kind of fun to review a show that I don't have any basis for the source material whatsoever. I don't know if I can. Somebody wants me to zoom in on the list, and look at that. So yeah, I'm going to be checking that stuff out. One thing that I do want to check out, I did watch some anime when I was a kid, but I don't remember anything about it. I used to watch Toonami on Cartoon Network, and there was a show, Gundam Wing, that I thought was the coolest thing. But I don't remember anything about the story because I was a boy, and giant robots that you would pilot and fly around. That's all that mattered. So I don't even know what happened. I don't know who they were fighting. Don't know why they were flying around. But damn it, they were giant robots, and you could jump in and pilot one. And that was my ultimate fantasy. So I do want to jump back and watch that one. Let's see here. Check a few of these comments out. The Full Metal Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist. That one looks like a lot of fun. I've heard about this. I can't even pronounce it. I'm gonna go for it. Evangelion. I think I've seen Sanderson talk about that before. That's like one of his favorite ones, but people say it's real deep. And I've also talked about watching Naruto because I've heard like that's an easy one to jump into. But then people are like, there's 700 episodes, so maybe you don't just jump into a 700 episode thing. And I don't know if that's a good starter one or not. A lot of good recommendations though. That's really good. So, all right, I'm gonna read through those and get a bunch of good stuff. But let's jump off with a nice popular one, Marvel. I want to make a video about how Marvel needs a reset because it's just gotten too huge. I was on stream the other day and we were talking about the fact that we've gone 3 movies now at this point and a couple of TV shows where nobody has mentioned the giant celestial head that is sticking out of the planet from the Eternals. It's like Marvel made that movie and it sucked, and they were like, just don't ever talk about that ever again. And they're starting to have weird continuity stuff like that. And then I don't know if you guys caught the end of the Secret Invasion. Don't worry if you didn't. About, I don't know, 100 people watched the end of that show, and they were all just reviewers. I don't think anybody actually watched it for pleasure. Only people who were going to make videos watched the end of that show. But you have Emilia Clarke and the big bad of the show, Gravik, and they apparently, Nick Fury has been collecting DNA from all of the Marvel heroes that were at the Endgame battlefield, but he does have DNA from some of them that weren't there because, continuity doesn't even matter anymore. And he's got this vial that he hid in his gravestone, and they steal it, and they have a machine that gives them all the powers somehow. They don't really explain it that well. And they have this fight at the end where it's like 2 kids playing around and making up powers that, well, I've got fire powers. Well, I have mental powers. Well, I can be Captain Marvel. Well, I can, move like ghosts and turn invisible. And what you end up with at the end of that show is Emilia Clarke's character, Gaia, has every power. She has Captain Marvel's power, which the MCU has been very clear that Captain Marvel is like the most or one of the most powerful characters in their cinematic universe. She's got the power from Ebony Maw, the telekinetic stuff. Apparently, he's one of the most powerful telekinetics in the universe. So she has all these powers all in one. And at that point, it's like, what story can you tell when you have a character like that? And they've been having this power creep where the stuff has just blown up and it's gone too far. I was talking with somebody the other day that if you look back at the first movies, Iron Man is about Tony Stark figuring out the suit, getting himself out of the cave, and then stopping his business partner from selling weapons to terrorists. And that was the scale of the movie, which sounds kind of big. It's funny to call that small scale, but that's the kind of stuff that they had going on. Or Captain America, yeah, he was fighting the Nazis and he was trying to save World War II from being lost, which I guess would have had really big implications. But really, the story is about him finding himself and saving his buddies and getting everybody rescued. That's pretty much, and then stopping Red Skull. Ultimately, that's really it. When you look at those first movies, the stakes are very low. I don't think that we really left Earth or really even explored anything outside of Earth until the Avengers movie, which was 4 years into the series. And nobody went to space. Space came to us on that one. So we got a brief glimpse of Thanos and Loki coming to Earth, and then the portal opens up and everybody comes in. So everything stayed very earthbound. Everything stayed pretty small stakes. And now we're covering the entire galaxy. We've got Captain Marvel patrolling the whole galaxy. We've got, the Guardians of the Galaxy all over the place. We have the Celestial that nobody wants to talk about anymore. We have characters that are so powerful, nobody could possibly stand against them. We have multiple multiverses. They're all over the place. And I think that at this point, not only Marvel themselves can't keep up with this. They, like I said, they have continuity errors. They're popping up more and more because they can't even keep up with all the details they've put in. And the fans, I think, are having a problem. I was telling J.R. Carroll when I was talking to him, before I watched Secret Invasion, I thought, I felt like I was really lost. Like I didn't know where the show took place. or what led up to it. So I was looking on YouTube, and Screen Crush had a recap, and it was like 20 or 25 minutes long, and that guy was moving. I mean, he was only hitting the high points to just give you the information that you needed to know to get to Secret Invasion show so that you wouldn't feel lost. And I thought, if I have to watch a 25-minute recap just to get to this television show, it's too big. They've lost the plot, and the audience is being asked to do too much homework, to keep too many things in mind. A lot of that show was throwing back to the Captain Marvel movie from 4 years ago. You had to see that movie and remember a bunch of details from 4 years ago to understand why the Skrulls were upset in that show. I just saw a video today. Screen Crush did a Ahsoka primer. And again, I think a lot of that, I don't know how that show is going to go, but I'm afraid that people like me that didn't watch Clone Wars, all 7 seasons of Clone Wars, I'm not going to know what's going on in the Ahsoka show. And I'm not saying they have to make it for people like they don't have to make everything dumbed down for the everyman that didn't watch everything. But if you make too many properties that rely on the audience having seen dozens of hours of material prior, that audience is going to start to shrink. And so you either need to make smaller projects, which Secret Invasion did not. It cost $200 million. Or at a certain point, they just need to say, we did what we wanted to do, and we're going to reset somehow. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. I hope you guys have some ideas, because I know some of you are comic readers. And I'm sure that there are some. The only one that I know of is Flashpoint. That was kind of a famous one a few years ago when DC was doing the New 52. And sadly, I never did get into it. I remember thinking at that time, like, this is my chance to be a comic reader. They're going to do the New 52. They're going to restart everything. The Flashpoint was a big deal that I read about but didn't actually experience. And, I was lazy and never actually jumped into it. But I'm thinking that Marvel, somewhere in their comic history, has already told a story like that has like a multiverse ending event. And that's what they need to do. And then I'm hoping you guys have some ideas about stuff they could start over with. Because after they do whatever it is, this big Flashpoint thing, and they say, okay, we goofed on the multiverses. That was a bad idea. We're actually going to collapse and destroy all of them. JK, LOL. They're gone now, and the audience will clap for that. And then I think, I want to make a video where I want to have 3 or 4 ideas that we could say, this is how they could get things started again. And personally, I would like to see a lot of that revolve around the X-Men. And I think a lot of the audience would too. I think a lot of people I think the Avengers storylines, even this new Avengers or the continuing Avengers or the young Avengers or the Thunderbolts or whatever they want to do, whatever they have in the works, a lot of that still stems from all of this, the past 15 years of MCU at this point. And I think it's not enough to just create new characters and continue the story. I think they need to do a full stop, full reset, start over on an Earth that has never heard of the Avengers. Nobody's ever heard of Captain America. Nobody's ever heard of Iron Man, and just completely start over. And it would give them the creative room to do whatever they want. Because again, right now, I think they're penned in. I think they have a serious problem where they have to look at I think it's 137 hours worth of footage that they have made, and they can't do anything now that would break any of that continuity. I mean, sometimes they do anyway, and they just don't seem to care, but it's getting harder and harder to do things. And that's what I think. So if you guys have ideas for that stuff, I would love for you to drop ideas for like comic book storylines that you've seen that you think would make a good starter. Stuff that is famous enough. Obviously, I think Wolverine would be a good one, but like a really good Wolverine storyline, things that they could jump in with, because I think that was really what that was what helped them be successful, where a lot of other comic book stuff in the past didn't work out. The previous Hulk movies didn't really work out. I think Blade was successful, but it was just kind of it was a one-time thing. They made, well, no, it wasn't one time. They made more. But then Wesley Snipes gave up. But I think the reason like Iron Man and Captain America and the whole MCU kickoff, the reason it was so successful is because even people that have never picked up a comic book in their life, like me, I've heard of Captain America. I've heard of Iron Man. Those are extremely recognizable characters. So starting off with that was a great move. So if they do the reset, they need to start over again with that same recognizable stuff. And that's why I think the X-Men is a good idea, because everybody knows who Cyclops is. Everybody knows who Wolverine is. Everybody knows who Gambit is. Everybody knows who Storm is. Everybody knows who Jean Grey is. They could make a handful of movies on those individuals, or in pairs. You know, they could do Cyclops and Jean Grey, a love story, and start off with those things and kind of rebuild that MCU again and rebuild that momentum like they did in the beginning. Let's see here.
Nikki Bogwater had an awesome thought for the next Marvel movie.
Mhm.
Says the next Marvel movie should just be about some guy who always gets stuck in the crossfire of the superhero fights and has to protect his family and neighbors with nothing more than quick thinking and a pen.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. It's it would be like sort of like a New Guy, but more serious. I don't know if you guys saw that Ryan Reynolds movie where he was a character in a video game, and it was kind of a similar thing. He was an NPC and then didn't understand why every day there were shootouts and car chases and whatnot. But I think that would be great.
It'd be a hilarious rap to everything.
Yeah. Free Guy, that's what it was, not New Guy. I'm still thinking about New Girl. So I love that show, and I can't help it. Let's see here. So you keep an eye on the comments for me. All right.
Spencer got everybody to like, so
Nice.
Tell him thanks.
I will. I'm gonna keep buying beef from him. My friend Spencer is he's from Hefner Farms there. I keep trying to encourage him to post again, but he's been too busy. He's got harvest going on and he's sending cows off to market, but I've got a half a cow in my freezer and it is delicious. Let's see here. Darkbox 105. If I was in charge of Marvels, I would go full X-Men. I mean, that's the thing. I would wrap up at a certain point. The difficulty that they're running into is that they have stuff in the pipe. I mean, years out. And before, that was cool. Like, everybody loved that Marvel planned things out. And that was actually kind of exciting about it. And now it's weird because the tone has shifted from like, wow, they have phases 2, 3, 4 already planned. Now you see the plan, you're like, oh my God, they have so much for 5 and 6. It's just never ending. And it almost feels like oppressive. Like, I'm going to have to watch all of that. Or for a lot of people, then they're just like, I'm not going to watch any of it. Because that's the other risk of the MCU, is that it's kind of an all or nothing proposition, the way that they have structured it, especially now that they've been tying the shows into the overall universe. Back when they were on Netflix, you could just watch Daredevil or Jessica Jones, and they never tied into the overall MCU. They were just fun shows. They stood on their own. Everything was fine. And I believe Bob Iger said that was the plan with the Disney Plus shows. I'm sure I could find a quote of him somewhere saying, you don't have to watch them. And yet I'm going to be very interested to see the reviews of the Marvels for people that didn't watch WandaVision. And they have no idea how Monica Rambeau has these powers. They don't even know who she is. Or I'm very interested to see how people react to Ms. Marvel. They don't know anything about her. She's not appeared in the MCU anywhere except for her television show, which was the lowest viewership of any Disney Plus MCU show. So they're going to make this movie, and 2 out of 3 of the main characters are ones that you only know if you're a Disney Plus customer and you watch those shows. And I'm very, very interested to see how people react to that, and if they work that into the beginning of the movie. And even then, I'm thinking if they do that, they're going to chew up a ton of screen time having to introduce these 2 characters, and they'll either chew up too much time, or they'll just they're here and they'll assume you know who they are, and then the movie's going to feel kind of weird because you just have suddenly 2 new characters.
Jacob Whiteleg brings up a good point that these reboots only work when there's a reason to go to the movie, and with an unknown hero, that could be questionable, like things like the Blue Beetle. You know, if people don't know about this hero, are they going to come? Do they trust Marvel? Do they trust DC enough to show up?
Yeah. Well, and I think the Blue Beetle speaks for itself. I think they started making that movie a few years ago, and a few years ago it would have been an okay movie. But at this point, like, I didn't even go see it. And it's kind of funny. I want to talk to you guys about like the whole business of making videos. Is every now and then I make a video because I just love doing it. Like, I made that Sea of Stars video because I'm just in love with that game and I cannot wait for that thing to come out. And it didn't do well like by YouTube standards, but I don't care. I was already playing that demo and I just figured I'll record it and then I'll make a script and tell you guys how amazing and retro-tastic it is. But then, and like the Turtles the same way. I went and saw the Turtles because my kids wanted to see the Turtles and I figured, well, I'm going to go and then I'll just make a video about it because I saw it anyway. But with the Blue Beetle, I'm part of the audience that I'm not even that interested in it. Like if I went to see that movie, it would only be for review purposes. And my thought was, enough of you don't even care about it that you don't even want to watch me have watched it. Like I think interest is so low in that movie that I've seen other people reviewing it and their numbers are lower than what their typical reviews are because nobody cares. Nobody cares enough to even watch a review. And you knew it was going to be bad. Like I've seen reviews. I saw Jeremy Johns talk about it. I saw Angry Joe talk about it. And they said exactly what you already think. It was very generic. It was very generic superhero movie. You could watch the trailer and you already know everything that's going to happen in that movie. There's going to be some cool lines, 1 or 2 cool action sequences, an emphasis on family. They overdid it with the grandma. You saw that in the trailer. She had the Gatling gun and they played that up. It was real hammy. You knew everything that was going to happen in that movie. And so that was one of those where I was like, I could go and
Your niece is in the chat.
Lexi's in the chat. Hey,
Show support.
I am so glad you're here. Thank you. So the I just figured why go see that movie and make a video and when nobody's even going to want to watch the review because nobody wants to watch it. And I think that's a really sad statement that movie is so uninteresting that people don't even care to hear how bad it was or how uninteresting it was or whatever. And I think that the performance of that movie, the performance of The Flash, that should terrify these studios. But those two, I think, also fell into a problem where James Gunn kind of cut the legs out from one of those movies. And I think Aquaman is going to be the exact same way. Aquaman is going to be maybe even worse than the Blue Beetle. Like the reports coming out are that the Blue Beetle is going to lose maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, just like The Flash lost 200, maybe more. Blue Beetle might lose more than that. I don't know how much it cost yet because I think it was a lower budget because I remember hearing somewhere that it was, it was intended to be like an HBO Max. I won't call it Max. I'm not doing that. It's HBO Max. This is just a dumb name. I won't do that.
Change.
I really do. But I think it was supposed to be an HBO Max movie originally, and then they just decided to bump it up. But then James Gunn took over. They shook everything up. And now, I mean, just like you guys, I'm thinking the same thing. Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman. They say that Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 are going to be in the Gunverse, but kind of feels like the executives of WB were like, James, say that it's part of your universe. Otherwise, no one's going to go. But the audience isn't stupid. And so we all know that this Blue Beetle character, it's really not consequential. We knew for a fact that The Flash was literally the end of the old Snyderverse. So why even bother to go see that movie? Then with Aquaman 2, you're going to have not only the fact that we know it's not part of the Gunverse, but also that you got the Amber Heard thing, and they either have to cut her out entirely and look terrible and sexist, or they have to leave her in. And they might have the Ezra Miller problem where people are like, I don't want to go see that person on screen, not even for a minute, not even what's the actor's name that plays Aquaman? Why am I blanking on that guy's name?
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, not even Jason Momoa's abs are going to get me into that theater if Amber Heard is going to be there. Random Taz, $10 donation. Thank you so much. I'm glad your kids enjoyed Ninja Turtles just like mine did. And I'm glad you like Tress too. That was a great book. A lovely, lovely book. That's my wife's favorite thus far. Did you like Yumi better than that one? Or is Tress still your favorite?
No comment. I can't.
Can't choose between your children. I'm excited for that 4th one to come out. So anyway, so that's they got the Marvel needs to reset. I don't know what DC's doing. I don't want to judge DC too hard just yet because they're not. Good thing we locked the door. See, they just bust in. They're like animals.
Emma Porter said the premise of Blue Beetle seems like something that would be actually appealing to them, but they just worry that the characters won't be likable. So it comes back to that like whole character thing, they can't be trusted with even a storyline that we would be interested in.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how the reviews shake out on Blue Beetle once it goes to HBO Max, and to see if it like gets a redemption later on. Elemental had that a little bit. I think that Elemental had the same problem where people were like, I don't trust Pixar. Stuff has been trashed lately. Lightyear was garbage. Turning Red was garbage. Don't trust it. The initial numbers were terrible. And then word kind of got out that it's not as terrible as I think that's what my review was. My review was like, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. I don't know if that's a good review or not, but it was passable. And then it kind of started to curve up a little bit. I think they're still going to lose money on that one, but not as much as it looked like they were going to. And I'm interested to see if Blue Beetle gets good reviews going forward. Or it's Tabitha just said it's okay going forward. And that kind of raises people's hopes a little bit. And then maybe they build momentum, and Aquaman 2 is maybe okay. And then they kind of build up steam going forward. But I don't want to judge the DC plan too much because we're really not even seeing it yet. We just know what James Gunn wants to do. I did like the Guardians movies, so I think that he's a capable director. I think that one thing that gives me optimism about their plan is that they put him in charge of the whole thing. Before, you're doing this, you're doing that. It was very much like the Star Wars trilogy. They were like, okay, you direct this one, you can get the second one. We'll draw straws for the third one. And then the second one sucked, and they had a different director for the third one. And with one guy in charge, they have a better chance of having a good continuity, a good theme, or a good, that's what I'm looking for here, the similar tone between the movies and shows and everything. And in DC's past, that's been a big problem for them too. Sometimes they wanted to be super comedic like Shazam. Sometimes they wanted to be unhinged like Suicide Squad. Sometimes they wanted to be super dark. And I think with one guy at the helm, maybe they'll have the continuity to hold it all together, and it will be a good franchise. But a lot of people are saying, like, maybe the time is also past. By the time Gunn's movies get made and actually out in the theater, you're talking 2 years from now. And if people are already kind of having superhero fatigue right now, how much worse is it going to be 2 or 3 years from now when his shows and movies start hitting the screens? So I'm not optimistic, but I don't want to get judgy just yet. I'll save all my judgment for Marvel because they've proven it. So this next one I want to do, I was kind of inspired a little bit by this old video that Critical Drinker did about the Ghostbusters, the old Ghostbusters and the female Ghostbusters. And I was doing a video where I needed footage of the Hulk for some reason. I can't remember why, but I ran across the scene from Avengers where Black Widow goes to pick him up. And he's in that village, remote village, and some kid is like, I need your help, doctor. And he leads him to this house on the outskirts, and then Black Widow's there, right? You know the story. She's tricking him, and she wants to get him because Nick Fury wants him to join the Avengers. And I watched that whole scene because I was recording it to get clips out of it. And I was reminded of what a phenomenal scene that was. And that was 2012. This is a decade ago. That's when the MCU was doing things so well. Number one, that scene has limited dialogue compared to the scenes in new MCU movies that you're going to see. Banner knows what's up right away. Black Widow knows what's up right away. They're trying to play each other. Banner's trying to act a little aloof. You see Black Widow trying to seduce him right off the bat and trick him. Oh, we're alone. Don't worry. I'm just here to talk. He sees right through it. And then it all finally, and you're learning things about both these characters. You're learning that Black Widow, she's going to try to trick and seduce, and she's going to try all of her tricks first. And you also learn about Banner, that he's a selfless guy. He'll follow a kid in need, but he's also not stupid. He sees, a SHIELD agent. He knows what's up immediately. He's looking out the window, and she's like, we're alone. And he's like, yeah, sure we are. Okay. And you can tell he's not buying it. And you're learning so much about both these characters. It's such a deep scene. There's so much subtext in this scene. And then finally you have Banner just cutting through the BS with her, and he slams the table, and he's like, don't lie to me. And he screams, and she freaks out. She grabs the gun underneath the table, and credit to Scarlett Johansson. Her acting was phenomenal in that scene because she managed to portray feeling guilty because she got caught, and also scared, completely witless she looked absolutely terrified because she knew she was about to die by big green hands. And then he kind of chuckles it off like, I'm really sorry. I just had to say, had to know if you were telling the truth. I'm sorry. That was really mean, whatever. And then they cut to the outside. There's agents all over the place. And it was a phenomenal scene. We learned a lot about Black Widow. We learned a ton about Hulk. It was only a couple of minutes long. Just beautiful acting, beautiful writing, amazing way to introduce a character. And I understand that Hulk was not technically new, but Ruffalo Hulk was new. And we just pretend that the other Hulk does not exist. So we had Edward Norton Hulk. He's like the celestial head out of the planet. He just that's not there anymore. And then I was watching Wakanda Forever, and you get the scene where they're introducing Riri Ironheart, and it was a mess. It was a disaster of a scene. It was, first of all, they had an ad for Fenty Beauty beforehand when Okoye and Shuri are outside. And they're parking in a college campus, and they're like, "Don't draw attention," but they're sitting next to like a lotus or something. And Okoye is making quips about her makeup, and Shuri's like, "No, Fenty 440, that's your color." Whatever. Like, do you guys really need ads? You need ads in a MCU movie? It's a $200 million movie. And they go upstairs, and again, nobody will shut up. Shuri goes in the room first, and Riri recognizes her, and they're talking back and forth constantly. And then Okoye pops up because I don't know, some arbitrary time limit has been met. Riri's she just starts throwing things at people in her apartment for some reason. And Okoye has the spear and chops stuff in half. And she and Shuri are arguing, "Oh, you shouldn't have brought a spear." And Okoye does this for the second time now in the MCU. She tells us, she didn't look in the camera, but she was like, "I like this one." The same way that Thor told us about Captain Marvel. "I like this one." It was such a messy scene. We didn't learn anything about these characters. They weren't introduced well. They looked caffeinated. It was sporadic. I don't know. So I'm going to talk about those two things. If you guys have comments about that, how you think that video could be expanded better, because it's okay. I'm excited. Anyway, so yeah, that those two scenes, I want to compare those two things and really show how 10 years has really damaged the writing with this franchise. And a lot of people just think the fans are toxic and mean and whatever. But when you really analyze these movies, when you go back and watch Civil War, I think that was pinnacle MCU. I think that was the best one. It actually gave you, the audience, something to think about. The characters had good motivation. Everybody was on their A game as far as acting. And I think a scene comparison like that would be great to really demonstrate it's not us. We're not just mad and making things up. The franchise has fallen off real bad.
Maybe you should see if there are any of these in particular that people have comments, questions, or like things that they're interested in your list.
Yeah. If you guys, I got the list pulled up. I'm zoomed in on it. So if you have specific questions about them or comments that you want to put in there, my wife's monitoring that. She'll flag me down. I had a video where I don't remember what it was in the comments, but somebody was mad at me and they said Steve Rogers was boring. I think it was one of the times I mentioned Black in America, and they were like, he is better than Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers was super boring, and listed off all these reasons that he's a boring character. And not just to spike that person, but it really just got me thinking about it, because I was thinking about how to answer that person. And I started thinking about Steve's whole journey, and he's not a boring hero. And I would love to hear your guys' comments about that. Yes, guys, I see some comments. This will all be archived, so you can type whatever you need to. If I don't have a chance to see your comment and respond to it, that's okay, because I'm going to watch this back later, and I'll see all those comments in real time as the video progresses, so I'll be able to capture all your great ideas. But with Steve, I really want to explore his journey and kind of how he... What did I write here? Oh, that's all I wrote. I want to explore his journey of figuring out what it was to be a hero. Because in the beginning, he just wanted to be somebody. He was scrawny and he just wanted to be something important. And then he was given the power to be that. And then throughout his journey, we kind of see him figuring out, what does it mean to be a hero? And during Civil War, it wasn't fun. Well, that was not a good time to be a hero. And then he's got some low points. And then finally, in the end, he realizes being a hero is just being, he wants to go back and just be a good husband to his wife and just be that everyday hero, right? He's saved the literal universe. He saved the world multiple times. And I think in the end, Steve's ultimate message is you don't have to be any of that stuff. He wanted to be this big hero. He had these big dreams because of his, small, scrawny stature in the beginning. And then I think after he achieves all of that stuff, I love the fact that his story culminates with him saying, none of this is really what I kind of want. None of this was all that fulfilling and satisfying. It was something that needed to be done. I wanted to have the strength to do what needed to be done, but I don't think this is really what being a hero means. If being a hero just means fighting nonstop and what's the next big bad, that's not really being a hero. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about that, because I think that could be a great video, and I think it could be a fun tribute to a character that they did right by. I don't think they ever trampled on Steve, but I think that their new characters just aren't great. And I think I would love I rather than talking about how crappy the MCU is, it'd be fun to make a video talking about how good it used to be. So this next one, this is going to take some work, because I want to talk about Patrick Rothfuss. Those of you that don't know who he is an author of a fantasy series called the King Killer Chronicles. It's supposed to be a trilogy, and I see in the comments somebody talks about why adaptations fail. That's a great idea. I'm gonna log that down. Rothfuss he was gonna do this trilogy called the King Killer Chronicles, and he wrote the first book. I want to say 14 years ago, and it was incredible. I mean, it really is a stunning book. I suggest you read it. It's called The Name of the Wind. Very, very good book. Has an interesting magic system, interesting characters, interesting world that he builds. Really cool stuff. And then he took a few years, because that was his very first book. He was living the dream. Put a book out, very first one, went viral, exploded. He was a celebrity overnight. And it kind of overwhelmed him, which is understandable. And it took him a few years, and then he followed it up. And his second book was called The Wise Man's Fear. And in my opinion, it's not that great, especially when you're comparing it to his first book. I think it falls short, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But that was 11 years ago, I want to say. And since then, he's written one novella about one of the characters from the second book. And then here in a couple of months, he's going to release his second novella from another side character. And there is no sign of that third book. And what I'm interested to talk about with this video, and I want your guys' insight on this one, because this is one of those things that you got to say very gently, because if you're misunderstood, you sound like a real prick. But I want it, because he talks about mental health a lot. People have described Patrick Rothfuss as a Twitch streamer who wrote a couple of books over a decade ago, because he is on Twitch. He does powwows like I'm doing, and that's kind of his main gig right now. And I don't know when he writes or if he writes, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get that other book. And he discusses mental health a lot. He talks about his own mental health, talks about mental health awareness. I've seen articles about him where people want the third book, and he went into this analogy about how having sex is fun in your own home, but if you had to do it in front of people, it wouldn't be fun. And his fans call themselves the 99, because he told a story about how pressure can get to you. And if you met 100 people and 99 of them were nice, but one of them punched you in the junk, it would ruin your day. And that's all you would talk about. Stuff like that I find to be a little dramatic. I think that he's overblowing those things. I think that some criticism about his book, or his lack of ability to write this third book, is not punching him in the dick like he says. It's criticism of him not writing this third book, which is his profession. He's a professional author. And him saying like, well, you'd have fun having sex, but if I asked you to come up here and do it, you'd get cold feet. But he sent sex tapes to TMZ, essentially. When he put his book to a publisher, that's kind of the same thing. So it would, he's in the same position of Paris Hilton being like, well, I'm a little embarrassed by my body. Well, no, you're not, because you sent the tapes in. So with him talking about mental health, what I want to talk about with this video, again, I have to be gentle about this, because I don't ever want to come across as saying like mental health's not real, or people's mental problems are not real, or whatever. And I don't want to have this attitude of like, just suck it up, right? Because that's stupid. And historically, people have taken that attitude. It's not healthy. What I want to talk about in that video is mental health is becoming a crutch. And I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, but in America, it's a big crutch. And when you get the label, when you say I've got depression, when you say I have anxiety, when you say I have whatever it is, ADHD, those are 3 really common ones. I would never tell you don't have those things. I think that's silly to tell someone, oh, you're not depressed. It's fine. Just think happy thoughts, whatever. What I would say though is if you find a label and you've got that label on yourself and he puts those labels on himself and you don't use that label to do something, then it's a crutch at that point. And I don't know how I'm gonna, like I said, I've been working on the script for a while because I don't want to come across too harsh, but that's what I want to talk about. That it's fine for him to take some time to write this book. He doesn't owe me a book. You know, when he ever comes with it, I'll give him my money and I'll read the book. But in the meantime, our relationship is transactional, Patrick and I. But I have a serious problem with him using the mental health thing as a shield, basically just saying, pity me, poor me. I've got mental health struggles. And you guys have heard me talk about in the videos, you know, he's like, well, I want to raise awareness about mental health. I have a problem with that too, that's the thing. People just say, well, we want to raise awareness about mental health. Okay. We all know that that's a thing. We all know that mental health is a thing. Do you have something else to say? And from what I have found of his streams, he just says like, be gentle with yourselves, be gentle with me. And that's not really a solution. And it's not helping him work, finish his career. It's not helping him achieve the definition of success that he would have for himself, which is to finish that book. So in that video, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about setting definitions for yourself, whatever you think success is. And if you have something in your life that you feel is holding you, you've got that label, whatever it is, if you're not using that label to find solutions to meet whatever your goal of success is, then you're using the label as a crutch. And that's all it's ever going to be. And you're going to be mad forever because you're never going to achieve whatever that goal is that you've set for yourself because you're using this excuse. And then the other thing with him, with this hard work portion, and this is another one that I have to be very careful how I script, because there's a weird hard work paradox. And I think Rothfuss, I hate to use him as so many negative examples when he wrote such a great book, but it's not often that we get to really examine somebody's life and know a lot of the details and see where they screwed up and how they could have done better and learn from it. And so if we can use him as an example for how to do better, well then great. But there's this weird paradox where if you ask successful people, hey, what do you got to do to be successful? And they're going to say, well, you got to work hard. And of course they're going to say that because they're successful. And there's always this back and forth. People say that like, oh, well, of course, Jeff Bezos is going to say, just work hard because he's already rich. And they'll say he had more opportunity than I did. Yeah, he started at Amazon in a garage, but he had a $200,000 gift from his parents. And people will find those things and say, if I had that opportunity, I would be successful. And I think Rothfuss's situation is interesting because we get to see the opportunities that he had and he didn't take advantage of. And now he's kind of fading into obscurity. So after his second book was done, and it was very successful because the first one was so good, even though I don't think the second one was as good, it was still a bestseller. And Lin-Manuel Miranda was a huge fan, big self-professed fan of his work. And apparently Miranda goes to him and he's like, dude, I want to produce a movie based on your books. I'm excited. And the main character of his books is a bard. And so Lin-Manuel Miranda is like, I love your books. As soon as you finish that third book, I want to produce movies and shows about it. And I'm going to write original music for your character, the bard. And he still couldn't finish. He had this golden opportunity literally handed right to him by one of the hottest commodities in Hollywood and Broadway. And all he had to do was lock himself in a room and finish that book. And he still wasn't able to do it. And in that video, and again, I want you guys to add your ideas for how I can kind of say this without sounding like such an asshole, but he refused to work at that. And we often like to think like, oh, well, hard work's not the answer. People only say that because they're successful. And there's a little bit of truth to that. Like, you can work as hard as you want, but if you're working in the wrong direction, you're not going to be successful. So yes, there's truth to that. But here in Rothfuss, we have this incredible example of a guy who had early success, had more success waiting to be given to him, and all he had to do was execute. And he buried inside of himself and refused to overcome those struggles that he had. And now I don't know if that third book's ever going to be done. And yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. I'm interested to make that one. That's going to be a little bit a longer a longer video, and then we'll be talking about reviews of the books themselves. I'm hoping to get that one done a little bit before that novella comes out, which I think is in November. So I've got a little time to make that one, but I got to get on that one.
People understand your overall point, though. So
that's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Some really, really well stated comments here you're gonna like.
Good. And I'm gonna steal them because that's what we're doing here, really. It's just, you know, I'm so nervous to make that video because I don't want to come across as like, you don't really have depression, just get over it. Or, you know, you don't really, if you just worked hard and pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, because I don't want to be that guy. Because the problem is that's slightly true, but it's not all the way true. And you just sound like such a dick when you say that. So got to find a good way to say that. I'm going to come back to the Barbie one because that's going to be a longer one. Oh, this one, if you guys know about QAnon, I am dying to know what you think about this, because after I made the Sound of Freedom, hang on, let me, I've been talking too long. Give me some good comments.
You got to read that vague comment. They summed it up here last on what you were talking about the last time.
Mm-hmm. Mental health issues are very serious. However, the most important thing you can do once you have accepted that there is an issue is figure out how you can overcome it, not just sit in the problem. Oh, it won't show me more. Show me more.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. How cool is that?
Look at you.
Yeah. StreamYard, baby. The problem is it only shows a bit of it, so I'll read the full thing afterward. But it sounds like he's saying, like, same thing. You have to figure out how you can overcome that. And it can be, you can sound mean when you say that. You can sound like, well, just get over it. But I want to find that way to say it. And it sounds like Bay's got a great way to say that.
Somebody says you're QAnon adjacent.
I mean, I'm sure that I am, because so here's the thing. So I made that video about Sound of Freedom. And if you see others, shout stuff out to me, because I feel like I've heard my own voice too much at this point.
People don't want to hear me shouting.
So I made the Sound of Freedom video, and you know, we had the Rolling Stone article, and the guy was like, you know, it's a QAnon tinged, QAnon adjacent thriller. And I made the comment in the video that I don't really know a lot about what QAnon is, but from the way that I see it used in headlines, it's basically just a catch-all for like everybody to the right of Nancy Pelosi. And a couple of people in the comments were like, well, if you don't even know what it is, you sound like an idiot because you don't know what you're talking about. And I thought, well, there's something to that. Okay. So I started looking into it. And it's like, Natalie's already summed my point up. If you read into what is QAnon, it reads like a conspiracy. Like, it reads like the conspiracy that QAnon supposedly is. Could be anyone, could be anywhere. It encompasses 9/11 truthers, even though QAnon started like 6 years ago. But 9/11 truthers, if you didn't want the COVID vaccine, if it's very closely tied, very, very closely tied to Trump should have won the election, and like they think the election would. I think that one is one of the most valid ones that's actually really tied to QAnon. But if you look up, like, what is it? It's tied to everything. Everything is Q adjacent. So then I got to thinking, okay, well, let me find out. Like, what if it's a dangerous conspiracy? What are the crimes that QAnon adherents have committed? Because even if it's a vague thing, if people believe in it strong enough to commit crimes in its name, then it becomes serious. And I'm still doing the research, but I helpfully found a Wikipedia page that was crimes associated with QAnon. And I think I'm into like 2020. I read from 2017 down thus far, and then I got busy. But in 2022 is what I'm up to. And the crimes are like, they're real crimes, and then they'll just say the person had a QAnon bumper sticker. Or one of them literally said, this woman, it was a very serious crime, she kidnapped her neighbor's child and killed her neighbor, like extremely serious crimes. And then at the end of the blurb, it said on her computer was found QAnon related material. So like, the murder, the kidnapping, none of those things were linked to the QAnon theories. It was just she committed a crime and also posted something that is QAnon adjacent. Then I was like, okay, so what is the definition of QAnon? Like, how does the FBI define it? If it's like a terror group, how do they define it? Thus far, I have found like vague like if you would agree with these 3 vague questions, basically, if you don't trust the government, if you trust the government less than 99%, then you kind of could be considered to be Q adjacent. So I'd be interested to see what you guys think.
People are saying they don't want you to talk about politics.
I might stay away from it then. I mean, if people don't want to watch it, I'm not going to make videos about it. But I was laughing because I was reading this stuff because I just thought, well, I did make a video and I mentioned QAnon and how dumb it was, or how, you know, how dumb people use it, but I don't actually know anything about it. And I started reading about it, and it sounds like a conspiracy theory. It really does. Like, if Alex Jones was talking about it, you'd be like, oh, this is the dumbest thing. But then when CNN talks about it, like, oh my God, it's dangerous. It's obnoxious.
JR Carroll entered the chat.
All right. Hey, Jay. Joseph. Yeah, a lot of people don't care about QAnon, so I might scrap that one. I'll keep reading it because I'm just interested in it, but it just might never turn into a video, and that's okay. Yeah, that's what we're here for. So I'm not going to talk about these guys just yet, but if you have ideas about them and you comment them, I will end up reading them. So if in that case, if you guys aren't interested in politics, you might not be interested in this video right here. This is an older article that I found. I think it was on MSNBC, and it basically said resumes. They did a dummy test, and resumes with they them in the resume got fewer calls. And the article was very interesting because they led with what non-binary people feel is going to happen to them. And in the article, I would have to pull it up, but they said 80% of non-binary people feel that they would be discriminated against based on their non-binary status. And what was it? 55% say it has affected their work or in some way. And then you keep reading the article and you scroll down and they explain that they picked an androgynous name like Taylor, and they sent out a bunch of resumes, and they were like, hold on to your seats. The they them resume was called for interviews 8% less than the one that didn't mention it. And I was like, okay, so literally 10 times greater, they're estimating this problem to be. 80% of people think that it's going to affect them. And then when they did an actual test, it only resulted in 8% less actually being called. And beyond that, I think that while making that video, I'm just going to talk about the fact that, you know what, it should be larger than 8%, to be honest. Because what that, if I was reading that resume, what that would tell me is that you're going to be a problem in my office. Like, in one reason or another, you're going to want some kind of special accommodation. You're going to want some special attention. You're going to want something. And it depends on the office, but I think a lot of people are like, I just want to pay you, and I want you to make these spreadsheets and send these emails and then go home. And if I'm looking at your resume and you're already putting this non-binary, these are my pronouns thing on there, as a hiring manager, it just tells me that you're going to give me HR problems. You're going to be an issue. You know, it's, I don't know. If you guys have ideas about that, let me know. If you want to see that video made, it looks like there was.
So some people are saying they would like when I video.
Now they do want it.
T-Trev says that he wants you to stay out of the red versus blue crap. As a libertarian, you hate each equally. So
I do.
You should probably make that point.
I do. As a literal card carrying libertarian, part of the welcome packet says you can just argue with anybody about anything. That's the beauty of being a member of the Libertarian Party. The Rebel Outlaw said they're a straight white male with a very basic man name, and they rarely get called for their resumes. Yeah, I think, Vince just said they go in the garbage if they've got pronouns on them. And yeah, Natalie's agreeing with that too. Like, I can see why. I mean, I think it's hilarious that somebody wrote this article, actually did this test, and then we're like shocked. Oh my goodness, how dare these people call them back less? And they tried to make it like it's an illegal, it's not an equal opportunity hiring practice thing, which I would need to look into that if I was making the video to see if pronoun status is a protected thing under equal opportunity, like gender or sexual orientation or disability or any of that kind of stuff, if that's actually part of the protected thing. Up north, they, them is. It's y'all, all y'all. See, now I know I can just put those up there. That's nice. So yeah, I think I would talk about that too. That like, duh. Yes, of course, you're gonna get fewer callbacks. You're putting a target on your back. You're letting the hiring manager know that you're gonna be a problem. You're gonna make things difficult in one way or another. So I would not be shocked about that. So I might make that one. Looks like people are excited about that one because I'll get feisty is what's gonna happen with that video.
Darkbox keeps asking about the movie The Birth of a Nation, and seeing if you might consider looking into that. We'll put it on the list for sure.
What even is that? Is that why am I? Yeah, Wikipedia is not for sale. Birth of a Nation, 1915 movie, or is there a newer version that he's referring to?
Definitely put it on the list.
Yeah. No, I have. Oh, that's another thing. If you guys want to comment, stuff that I should watch and review. So I have a video series that I'm going to start. Have I already started it? Did I already make it? I finally? No, Arcane's going to be the first one. So I have a video series that I'm going to be starting. I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to be taking a week off in September, maybe 2 weeks, because I might be going on vacation too. But I'm going to take a sabbatical from YouTube, and I'm just going to watch a bunch of shows, catch my kids up on homeschool stuff, and do a bunch of writing and filming and everything, so I'm not behind. Because right now, I don't even have a chance to, he said it's the 1915. I don't have a chance to watch a ton of stuff because I'm working or I'm at home making the videos, and I'm running out of things to make videos about because I can't even watch new stuff unless I'm like taking my kids to the theater. So if you guys have ideas for really interesting shows or movies, I do have a Notion list of things that I want to watch and review. Last Airbender's on there. I know somebody's been wanting me to watch is it 1899? What's the Yellowstone prequel? Somebody's gonna say it. I'm gonna watch that one. There are several of them. Count of Monte Cristo is on there now because Jim Caviezel's in that one. I didn't even know that. And Henry Cavill's in that one. Young Henry Cavill, and also Guy Pearce. So I want to watch that one real bad. So if you guys put those in there, that will help me to make that series. So I want to make this series called I Finally, where I'm talking about I finally watched this movie. I finally watched this show. 1883, that's what it is. I finally played this game. I finally read this book, stuff like that. So I want to start making those things. And I finally watched Arcane is the first one. What's ooh?
Looks like Birth of a Nation might be a
little heavy.
Well, it might be like supporting the KKK.
Oh.
We'll have to look into
it.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. So as far as this is going to be the first one, and I am dying to hear your guys' thoughts on Arcane because I feel like I was the last one to watch this show. And what's weird is I don't even have a good reason because sometimes I'll see stuff like I almost skipped on Guardians 3 and you guys encouraged me. I made a video about like how terrible it did in its first weekend. I was like, I'm not even going to see it. And a lot of people in the comments were like, you got to see it. It's so good. Don't let the malaise of the MCU deter you. This is a great movie. So I went and saw it and it was really good. And every now and then I have a good example for the game is going to remind me of that. I have a good reason for why I don't see something, but I remember Arcane coming and going, and I don't even know why I didn't watch it. And I knew I didn't have to play because I've never played League of Legends, and I remember it being well advertised. You don't have to have played the game to get this show. It's just a show. It's just a cartoon based on this game. And I don't know why I didn't watch it. It was just one of those things that just slipped through the cracks. Can't watch everything. So we watched it last month. What's that? What? Okay. So we watched it last month. And I watched it with my wife and my 15-year-old, and they were mad at me because I didn't have time. I was like, we'll watch one episode each night because I still got to make videos. I got other stuff to do. I got to get to work early in the morning, whatever. I can't just binge this. And we watched that first episode, and I still had a video due the next day, and they were like, screw that video. Who cares if you post it? I don't care if you ever post again. We need to finish this show immediately. And that's like how Tiger King went. I remember when that show came out, I had a coworker who was like, you gotta watch the show Tiger King. And I'm like, what is it about? And he's like, I can't even tell you what it's about. Just all I can tell you is if you watch one episode, you'll either want to watch all the rest of it or you'll never want to see it again. It's gonna be one or the other. And my wife and I watched it during COVID. And that first episode ended, and I was like, and next. I have to know what is happening. I have to know what's going on. So we watched Arcane. I was blown away by it, and I'm dying for you guys to put in there what you think. But what I have thus far is the art obviously was incredible. Let me zoom up a little bit here. The art was obviously incredible. I've said in videos in the past, I'm a huge proponent of animation being used more and explored as a medium. I just think that some people have this weird chip on their shoulder that animation is for kids, cartoons are for kids. And I just think when you really embrace it as a medium, you can do so many things with it. And I mean, like just in the very first episode, that fight scene with the kids, it was so cool. I mean, they were able to slow down when they wanted to. They were able to emphasize people getting punched. That scene with Echo and Jinx and the gunfight. I mean, that might have been one of the greatest. That might be one of the best scenes in the entire thing. Is them jumping back and forth between adult and child, and just amazing. And they went for it, and they you can't do that live action. And I don't know, the art was incredible. But obviously everybody has thoughts on the characters, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the characters. But one thing that really stood out to me that I was just so impressed with was how well they did the class struggle storyline. Because at first they're robbing the rich people in Piltover, and I thought, okay, this is going to be pretty standard. Rich people bad, poor people downtrodden, they're the victims, and if only the rich people would help them, or they're being, unfairly treated in some way. And I thought it was going to play out in a pretty standard, almost Marxist class warfare kind of way. And I was so impressed with how nuanced they handled both sides of it. Because on the rich people side, they're never made out to be the bad guys. However, it is made clear that they could be doing more. And in the end of the show, I love the scene between Jace and Victor where they admit to themselves, all these years we said we were going to help them. We said we wanted to create this technology so that we could help the people of the inner city. But there was always something else to do. There was always the next distraction. There was always the next hurdle to get over. And we were always going to do it, and we never did. And I think that's such a better take than those damn rich people just stepped all over the poor, because they're never shown to get their riches at the expense of the poor people. They're never shown to be like getting it off the backs of the poor and dumping toxic chemicals down on top of them and crap. But they make it very clear that they're still not the good guys, because they're judging themselves by their intentions and not by what they actually do. And it's only after all of this tragedy happens that they finally realize, yep, we allowed ourselves to believe our good intentions the entire time, but we never actually did anything. And I think that reflects in a lot of the people of Piltover. They're just kind of, they're engaged in their day-to-day activities. And I love how the show doesn't paint them as bad people. It just paints them as people who should be doing something, but they're too distracted. And I love that on the opposite side of it, you think, oh, the poor Undercity folks. And you've got Silco, who says he wants to rescue them, says he wants to make them independent. But then when Vander's out of his way and he is basically running everything, does he help them? No, he turns into a drug lord. And he sells them drugs and basically, perverts all of these people that are under his kind of command. And I also think that it was interesting that his motives were respect. When he has the confrontation between him and Vander's like, what do you even want? And he's like, I want respect from the Piltover people. And it's like, what a weak ass motive. That's all you really want is for them. It's a selfish motive. And that motive continues to play out. And so I love the class struggle that they did there. I thought it was very interesting that they didn't just go with the standard, oh, rich people bad, poor people oppressed. Everybody was a bad guy in their own way. And I like that they explored the theme of how we all judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge other people by their actions. There is a note being slipped under my door. Did you see anything about the show?
A lot of people are saying that, kind of relating it to video games. I thought that was a good comment.
Mhm.
Knockworks comment that video games suffer from a similar plight.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think I would like to make another video about that. My video game videos don't do as well, so I kind of have to space out anything. And when I talk about books or I talk about video games, I kind of have to space those a little bit. TV shows and movies are sort of again, YouTube is it kind of pigeonholes you because they build a profile about your channel and then they show people that content. And then when you make something that goes off book, YouTube's like, okay, well, it's fun that you made that, but we're not going to show it to anybody. But I do want to talk about that more because I think that's a great point that, people think, oh, video games are for kids. And it's like, video games have made me cry. I mean, video games have cut down deep. I mean, well, and Dark Souls is maybe scream very adult words a lot.
And you have to put your controller in time.
Exactly. Yes. I don't throw my controller because PS5 controllers are $70, but my wife laughs at me because I'll be in the boss fight and I'm all tensed up because I lost again and I'm all tensed up and I don't want to throw it and I set it down in the bed and I walk away from it and I just have to put it in time. I can't have you in my hands because I might throw you. But yeah, I think that's a great point that people just think that things that are animated are childlike. And maybe 20 years ago that was a little true, although I think manga and anime were still very mature at that time. But I think in American entertainment, anything animated used to be very childlike. But nowadays you've got the shows like Arcane. You've got these video games. I mean, Last of Us comes to mind immediately. Excuse me. They're very deep. They're very adult. They're very emotional. They're very well written. I mean, they're all the things, and I think it's a real shame that people just write it off immediately, and they're cutting themselves off from really great stories just because something is animated. Jacob Roebuck said video games are the best storytelling medium, but are not as accessible by the whole population like films, and that's a good point. I think that they are one of the things that I'm working on a video. It's not listed here, but I'm working on a video about Phoebe Waller-Bridge and how she's going to be handling the Tomb Raider series. I think she's going to make a show and a movie, I believe, for Amazon. And I want to talk in that video, how she's going to screw it up because her style of humor is not a good fit with the Tomb Raider series. I don't think it's going to work out very well. I think making Lara Croft a snarky, Fleabag that's not going to work well at all. And also I want to talk about how video game adaptations tend to lose things because part of the reason video games tell a great story is because they pull you, like you're physically interacting with that medium. It's the only medium that's like that other than choose your own adventure books. Video games are the only ones that you are engaging with the story. We go and we see movies, we see TV shows, you guys watch my videos, but it's being projected at you. And video games you totally get involved with, and when certain video games really use that and use it to its full potential, it's stunning. It's amazing. I cannot wait. Part of that sabbatical, it's coincidentally going to coincide with the release of Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation 5. I didn't choose to take a week off that week on purpose, but if Baldur's Gate happens to come out while I'm off, well, that's not my fault.
They have to stop recommending games in the chat. It's just giving you excuses to play them.
I'm never going to finish my backlog as it is. One thing that has kept me from buying a lot of games is that I finally just got both game services, Xbox Game Pass and PS Plus Extra. I don't have premium because their classic library is not great yet. Although they do have Legend of the Dragoon, which was one of my favorites when I was a kid, but it's just not tempting enough. But I keep both of those subscriptions now, and it's actually kept me from buying a lot of games because, I mean, there's more on both of those than I could ever play. And Sea of Stars, which is I just can't stop talking about it. It's going to come to both those services, so I'm very, very excited about that.
A couple people want to know how you manage to do everything, and I think they should know that you don't sleep, and that's how you get it all.
I mean, partly it's not sleep, but then partly it's you. I mean, let's just
No.
take a minute to applaud you for a second.
Let's tell them how many hours a night you sleep, though.
About 6.
Less.
It's usually 6. But then who homeschools the kids? Who cooks the meals around here? Who cleans the house? Who reminds me to shower? Who reminds me to go to bed so I get the 6 hours? You're incredible. And they should know that it's not, here's the thing. I don't make YouTube videos and have a family because I'm not doing a lot of the family stuff as much as I should be because you're picking up all the slack on that. So, yeah. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's right. Applause for Greg's wife. And you freaking deserve it. You're a damn rock star. Yeah, she is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Outstanding. So I've mentioned a few times we homeschool. My youngest goes to daycare now, thankfully. But the other ones, they stay home, and she proctors homeschool, makes meals, takes care of the house, runs everybody everywhere. My oldest kid is a 15-year-old, so I don't even have any extra drivers at the moment. So yeah, she's doing all of that. And then like I get home and I jump on the videos, and yeah, I can just work and then come home and work. And I'm only able to do that because I have an incredible partner. So that's how it all gets done. Okay. So if you guys have ideas about Arcane, I know you love it. How can you not love it? But just continue to drop those ideas because I will be, like I said, I'll be reading all this stuff. Something else that I've been kicking around for a long time, and I want your guys' help because I really don't want to watch Bros, and that's the reason that I haven't even written this script yet. But I want to make a video because people have challenged me in the comments. Tabitha's leaving. It's been fun. Thank you. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time because people have challenged me in the comments because sometimes I'll say like messages in movies are bad. And then other times I'll be like, if a movie has a good solid message that it's working off of, it's good. And people are like, I've watched a lot of your videos. You seem to be saying conflicting things. And I'm not choosing my words correctly. What I want to make, kind of a definitive video to talk about how there's a difference between a theme and a message. A message is like, this is what we want you to think. This is the very blunt neon sign. This is what we want to take away, you know? And a theme is the best I can come up with is the, yes, Gregulars is absolutely what we're going with. The theme, the best one I can think of is Puss in Boots 2. I can't stop talking about how amazing that movie is because the theme of that movie is gratitude. And they are kind of telling you to have gratitude, but they're just working on this theme. Gratitude is good. That's the theme of the movie. And they're showing you that Puss doesn't have gratitude for his lives. That's why Death is mad. Horner doesn't have gratitude for any of the things that he has. Goldie doesn't have gratitude for the family that she has in front of her, and she's seeking after one, and she ends up realizing that they are her family the entire time. And Perito has gratitude, an abundance. He has more gratitude than all the rest of them combined. And like, that's the theme that they had. And they built all the movie and all the characters around that theme. Every character is used in some way to emphasize that theme, be it a positive or a negative example. It's phenomenal. And then you have other movies that are just a straight up message. Yes, it is the message. And I want to make a video illustrating that point. And right now, I guess I just haven't given it a lot of thought. What I was thinking is The Last of Us, the Bill and Frank episode, had a theme. It was a love story, right? And I wanted to use, I kind of settled on the Bill and Frank episode versus Bros because a lot of people are like, oh, well, you just don't like the message because when you don't agree with it, right? And so I want to do these because the Bill and Frank episode is about two gay men. Bros is obviously a movie about gay men. And so that's outside something that I'm familiar with or comfortable with. But I chose those specifically because I think that it still illustrates the point that the Bill and Frank episode was a love story. That was the theme. Finding love in a broken world, having one thing that's important to save and gives you reason to live. Like, those are universal human themes. And it's not detracted from at all just because it's a gay love story. It's still a love story, and it was very well done. And I thought that episode was excellent. There are a couple of issues, like it didn't get the same point across as the game. Like Bill was more effective to the Last of Us video games message, but the episode by itself, it was a good episode.
Yeah.
It was well done. It was emotional. It was touching. And it had this theme of finding somebody in this world. That's an important thing. Finding somebody to love. That's an important thing. And that was the theme of that episode. I haven't watched it yet, but from everything that I've read, the message of Bros is gay, 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 all gay stuff, gay everything, gay. It's funny, it's fun, it's awesome, gay. Be gay. Look at gay stuff. Look at this gay sex scene. And I think that would be an interesting video. If you guys have other ideas so that I don't have to watch Bros, because I'm not interested in it. I've seen reviews of it. I'm not interested, but I will if I have to make the point. But yeah, if you've got ideas for things that would illustrate that idea that two similar properties where one is illustrating it's built around a theme and the other is just hitting you with a message constantly. Let's see here. The anime, I guess we really can't talk about the anime stuff because we already asked for recommendations on that. So I need to watch some more anime and then I'll find out why.
Go through that list and compile.
Yeah.
The comments, you know.
Yeah. Down here, you can see I'm going to be doing some stuff. I'm going to be watching Ahsoka this week, even though I don't really know a lot about the Clone Wars. Next week, or later this week, you can see me rant about how they messed up Wheel of Time season 1 and why season 2 is going to suck. And then next week, you can see me rant about season, because I'm going to watch the first 3 episodes because I hate myself. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm excited to watch One Piece, even though I don't know anything about it. So we're going to do that. And then, of course, once Baldur's Gate drops, I'll be making several videos, not just about Baldur's Gate, because at this point, people have it on PC and lots of gameplay videos have been made. Everybody's gushing about it. It's amazing. I want to make videos. If you guys don't know this game, it's a video game, Baldur's Gate. It's basically Dungeons and Dragons, but in a video game. And it's never been done to this level. You've never, in a video game, had this level of choice. It's never looked this good. Like D&D has always been a tabletop game because it's almost impossible to fit into an actual video game, to anticipate everything that you might do. It's a very large thing. And this game pulled it off, to my knowledge, for all the reviews that I've seen. And I would like to make some videos about how Hollywood especially can take away lessons, because the studio that made it is an independent studio, Larian. They're large now. They have 400 developers working for them, but that wasn't the case up until just a couple of years ago. And then also there's a little drama surrounding them with other game developers and other studios and other publishers who are they're a little chapped about how good this game is and how good it's doing, and how it's kind of like when a really amazing movie comes out and the fans are like, see how good this is. Well, certain developers were like, okay, that was kind of an anomaly. Gamers, you shouldn't be getting your hopes up for every game to be that amazing. They can't all be that amazing. And then rightly, everybody was like, wow, F you. I will have my expectations up because I have seen that it can be done. But I don't have a ton of time left, but I want to talk to you guys. I want to get the last bit of ideas here. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed talking to you guys. I love this right here. And I want to get some ideas about how we could do this on a more regular basis, how we could do a community thing. I don't know if it's going to be like a channel membership thing or whatever. But I want to get your ideas about that, like how we could pull that off. I know people have asked me about a Discord in the past. I need to look into how that even works, like how I could set that up. The last time I used Discord there is a phone game called Hades Star, where you manage a bunch of planets and you just make money and build more shit. I don't know. It is boring. It's a boring game. It could have been done on a spreadsheet, and yet it's on a phone and you have little ships you move around. It's called Hades Star. It was a lot of fun. And somebody because it was like a team game, and somebody had a Discord. And so we chatted and stuff, and there were different, sections. So I know a little bit of how it works, but I don't know how to set one up, but I'm sure I could figure it out. So I might do that. But something I wanted to run by you guys was I had this idea of, like, if I had a channel membership, like we could do like a movie club. Like we could do like this. We could do a live stream for channel members only. And I was thinking maybe we would pick a movie or something, or a show or whatever, and then pretty much just do like a book club, but we would all hang out. We would chit chat about whatever it was. Like, I haven't finished up the John Wick movies yet, but that was one that I was thinking like, everybody go watch all 4 John Wick movies and we will just chit chat about why they're so damn cool and whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if that would work or not, or if that, the thing with the community stuff or like a channel membership or I don't like a Patreon or any of that kind of stuff is I don't want to do it unless I feel like I have something valuable to give you guys beyond the videos already. And I know some people want to go beyond that and they want to do this more personal stuff, which I was nervous about tonight, but I'm having a great time. This is a lot of fun. I really like just chit chatting with you guys in a little more informal setting. But I also want to give you something that is valuable. So if you have ideas like other channels, stuff that they do that you like, or things that you would like to see or whatever, give me those ideas, because sometime in the future, I want to put something like that together where we could all hang out on a regular basis. But right now, I'm just not 100% sure of what that thing is. Yeah. What's that value that I can bring? What was the last thing that I wanted to talk about? Oh,
you need to talk about.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I was talking and I passed that up. Master Chud, thank you so much. $25 the donation. I really appreciate that. He said, "Hey man, love your work." To answer your question, anime is beating U.S. entertainment because the plot has always been central. Still, from Chainsaw Man to the Gundam series. Chainsaw Man is a man whose head is a chainsaw, by the way. I don't know anything about it. I've just seen the pictures. And he recommend the Gundam series. It's 44 years old. Oh my goodness. Anyway, thank you very much. So and then Jacob, $20. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So the last thing I want to talk about is somebody in the comments once recommended that we talk about like positive things, like what, we talk about the strong female character and how crappy they are. And there's a lot of negative videos to be made. And to be honest, guys, from a business standpoint, they do better. I don't like to make them 100% of the time, although I know they're going to reach a wider audience. People engage with them more, but I don't want to make just crap on stuff videos all the time either. And somebody recommended once in the comments making a video about like, we know what a strong female character, we know how that's done poorly, right? We know Captain America sucks or Captain Marvel sucks. We know Rey Palpatine sucks. We know She-Hulk sucks. Like we know that those are terrible. What if we make a video about the ones that are done really well? Obviously, 2 names pop up a ton anytime people suggest these things. It's Ellen Ripley, it's Sarah Connor. People always suggest those 2. Personally, Elizabeth Bennet is on my list because my wife watches a lot of Jane Austen, watches a lot. The video today, I made the joke about cottagecore. Why do I know what that is? Because she watches a lot of it. So I'm interested to hear thoughts from you guys, because one thing I don't want is to make that video and people be like, oh, of course, Ellen Ripley, of course, Sarah Connor. Those are the 2 names that always come up. Are there no other strong female characters? Is that the only 2 that you guys cling to demonstrate what it should look like? And that's your excuse for not accepting these beautiful women like She-Hulk? So I would love for you guys to give me some more ideas, some maybe that I haven't heard of. And I am excited to do that video because I do like talking about positive stuff. I don't enjoy crapping on things. Spinlock, it might have been Spinlock that suggested that. I can't remember who it was that suggested it, but I know the Last Airbender, I know Toph, I know Katara. Those are excellent ones. Last Airbender, I gotta finish Last Airbender because people are like, the villain is incredible. The examples of masculinity are incredible. The women are incredible. The overarching plot is incredible. Like everybody says that this show is basically perfection,
including your daughter,
including my daughter. Yeah, the girls from Arcane. Why can't I think of what was her name from Arcane with purple hair? Why can't I think of her name all of a sudden? It's gonna come through in a second. Vi, that's right, Violet. Violet and that's her girlfriend. What was her name?
I don't know. Cupcake is all I know.
Cupcake. But no, you're absolutely right. Arcane had incredible female characters, all the way from the women in charge in Piltover, all the way to Vi and Jinx. I mean, they were incredible. So, Caitlin, yes, that's right, that's right. I see Mrs. Incredible. She was a good one. And somebody saying bring up modern strong female characters from the 2020s or later. And that's a good point too, because I want to talk about them from from all over the place, but specifically in the last decade or so, we've been seeing the rise of these really terrible strong female characters. The Rays, the She-Hulks, the who else? I've said those multiple times, but I'm blanking on other ones. But most recently Phoebe Waller-Bridge in the Indiana Jones movie. They're just inserted constantly and they're bad. So I would like to see also, like, obviously we'll talk about Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley, which I believe were from the 80s, but I also want to talk about more modern examples. So again, we can't just be, as a community, we can't be accused of like clinging to the past, like, oh well, that's a 40-year-old character, get with the times, old man, and all that kind of stuff. And somebody brought up Imperator Furiosa from the Mad Max movie. That was excellent. By Wonder Woman, yeah, from her first movie. Wonder Woman 1984, not so good. That would be a really good that would be a good video too, to talk about what happened between Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984. What happened? And that would be an interesting thing as well. And then I'm about out here. Man, I'm glad I had so many things to talk about because I'm close to done. But I really appreciate your guys' comments. And I'm really glad that YouTube hangs on to all of them, because I'm going to go back and watch this. I'm going to note all of this stuff, all of your suggestions for things to watch, and also suggestions for things to put into the videos. I really appreciate you guys giving me that insight, because like I said at the beginning of the movie, or the beginning of the video, those of you that weren't here, the reason that I wanted to do this whole live stream and I want to make these more of a regular thing is because it kills me when I make a video and I put it out, and then people in the comments have amazing ideas, and then it's too late to put them in the video. And that sucks. Like, I see great jokes that I should have used. I see amazing ideas that would have added to the video and made it a better, stronger message. And then also, like I said earlier, the whole channel is to entertain and educate you guys. I mean, I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I like making them. I like the whole business aspect of it. Like, all of this is very, very fun. But I don't make them just for me. I make them for you guys. So I really appreciate all of these comments, because it helps make the videos better for you guys.
But partly for you too. You make them partly for you.
I mean, partly. I make them to laugh. That's what I do. So I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. I do appreciate it if you I think this will go live immediately. So if you have anything that you wanted to say, Michael snuck in a $20 donation there. Thank you so much. He's got a question that I'm going to answer. Oh no, well, he forgot the question, but that's okay. If you put it in the comments, I'll answer it for sure. But this will get stuck on YouTube. So if you have something else you want to comment on, leave it there, or just pop it in the next video, and I'll see you guys in the comment section and the next time we do a live, because we will definitely be doing this again. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night.